Once again, thank you all for joining us. This is Nuance, and I am Mike Scala, joined, as always, by Jay Carter, also known as Timid, the hip-hop artist in the chair of BLM Tokyo. What's going on, Jay?
I'm getting ready for this discussion here. I can just see the grin on Andre's face, so I know it's going to be an interesting one and exciting.
Should be a good one indeed. We are joined once again by Sheba Abraham from the League of Women Voters, who I understand has a very important engagement coming up. Right, Sheba? What's going on with you?
Yes, the important engagement is I will be a moderator at the mayoral race in Poughkeepsie, New York. And there are three Democratic candidates running for that office. And at the same time, they also have two candidates running for the council at large. So it should be a very interesting debate.
Yes, I hope you hold those candidates accountable and come up with some good questions for them. Is there an incumbent in that mayor's race, or is it an open seat?
It's an open seat.
Okay.
Election day, June 27th, right?
Yes, it is. June 27th is the election day. Well, yeah, the primary. The actual election takes place in November.
Sure.
Well, no. Of course, we're talking about the primary.
Yeah. Is there a Republican primary as well, or just Democratic primary?
It's I think it's the Democratic primary. No, it's the Democratic primary.
So the Republican.
But I'm saying, is there a Republican primary?
Is there a Republican primary? Not that I didn't hear of a Republican primary. I didn't hear of a Republican running. So it's going to be, we'll find, I guess I'll find all that out once during this debate.
Okay, so if there's just one Republican running, there would be no primary. They would just automatically advance to the general election. So that might be what's going on there. So we are joined once again by Andrey Bystrov, the political consultant from Bryant Bystrov, who certainly would like to be on for this discussion as we speak on the federal indictment. I know you were on for the state one, so I guess happy indictment day part two.
Part two. I'll be on for the third and fourth.
Right. Georgia might be upcoming.
Yeah, Georgia's going to be 3. And then, maybe there might be like an E. Jean Carroll part 2 in New York again.
Well, this is indictment part 2, Electric Boogaloo, right?
Correct.
We might need to do something like really like Roman, like crazy for like sentencing day or that would be that, I need that to happen. This is all like, foreplay. Like I need to see behind bars happen. That's what I need to see.
Yeah, look, I also want to point out, though, it's kind of an interesting week for corrupt leadership, right? Because the former leader of Ireland just got arrested and Silvio Berlusconi died. So, quite a week. I
don't know what either of those things mean, but
you don't know Berlusconi and his bunga bunga parties? He's basically he's a precursor to Trump, man. In a lot of ways, he's a former Italian prime minister and he's a very outlandish individual and stuff. Got constantly in the news for having these wild sex parties, and he called them bunga bunga parties.
Nice,
wild guy, but he owns like 80% of Italian media and stuff, so he would get away with it constantly. So he would be like, if you took Trump and
Rupert Murdoch
and Murdoch and merge them together, right? And instead of like having, stupidity and avarice mixed, which is what Trump is kind of, and instead over there, it's kind of like more like, I don't know, more of a kind of a weird narcissism mixed with just like some weird sexual deviancy and like a very peculiar thing. So that was Italy. So Berlusconi dead at 83.
Wow.
I'm sure the world is lighter. So it is fine.
Well, speaking of lighter, we like to start off with something on the lighter side here. And Jay, I know you sent me
such a good transition. Props on the transition.
I'm getting better at it. You sent me a video, Jay, about an artist. I guess you said she went viral on TikTok. I'm not sure who this artist is, but she was speaking with Vlad, I believe, right? From Vlad TV. About finding deals, and she didn't know the economics of it. She thought that the money that they were offering her was just hers to put in her pocket, right?
It seemed like there's an artist out that's buzzing right now named Scarlet. I don't know where she's from, but I guess she's got a song that went viral, and so it's kind of her moment right now. And so she had this, like you said, that interview with Vlad, and she was talking about, people offer me $100,000 deals, labels offered $100,000 deals. We were talking about, we didn't want to take it, we wanted to push for more, and then so some would come back with like 200 and 300 and $800,000 deals and this and that, and then Vlad told her, it's like, that's good, get your worth, but understand that, that's a loan basically, right? Like you have to pay all of that back. And she seemed very confused by that or didn't understand. And he was explaining, like, no matter what the deal is, all of that money comes out of your you have to pay that back through your profits or whatever. And then after it's paid back is when you finally get to get profit out of it, which in the music industry is called recoupment. Right. And a lot of artists, especially new artists or people who don't understand, get put underwater by recoupment. I knew an artist in the UK, not in the UK, it was somewhere in Europe, in Germany, actually, an artist in Germany. And this was back in the day. And she had gotten a deal with a $1 million deal with one of the labels. And then they didn't push her project like was supposed to be. And so she was underwater for this budget, and it took her years to pay it all back, to even to recoup that. And I don't think she didn't make any profit out of it or anything, but by that time, like, she wasn't popping at the moment, you know what I mean? So
did she pay it back through selling records, or was it out of pocket for her?
It was through a combination of things, hitting the road and doing all like this and that, because otherwise you're underwater the whole time. You're in debt. So, yeah, and I was just surprised at how much Scarlett didn't know about that. Like, you would think, I understand going viral, this could happen very quickly. You don't know anything. You're coming into it, all of a sudden, boom, there's like people throwing money at you.
That's a very interesting thing that you hit on right there, Jay. The fact that you just said she went viral, it happened so quickly. And I think we've kind of talked about this in slightly different contexts, but just this general idea of people who don't really have a foundation, who didn't pay their dues, who aren't really versed in the industry, they're not hip to game, right?
Right.
That this can happen to them. We've talked about people being a flash in a pan, or not being prepared for a stage show, not really knowing what they're doing, because they kind of catch that lightning in a bottle and it's great, but they don't have that foundation. I think this is another example of that, right? Someone who really wasn't prepared for the position that she found herself in.
Even though that's what the position she was going for. Yeah.
I think this is also a prime example of just, ladies and gentlemen out there and stuff, read your contracts.
Well, yeah, and that's, luckily she hadn't signed anything. But,
well, I'm just saying, like, when it changes hands, you sign something, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like,
and a lot of artists say
what that money means.
Right. And a lot of artists say, like, if you're going to get in the music business, you need to know the music business. So, famously, there was the Donald Passman book, Everything You Need to Know About the Music Industry. I don't know if that's still the standard anymore. I don't think so. I'm sure there's others, but I think it's still out. But I'm sure there's some others that get to know. But, hopefully her team and them, this conversation with Vlad seemed to like enlighten her to something. They could put her up on game so she doesn't get ravaged by people in industry, because, we all know it's very vicious in there, and they will take advantage if they can. So,
right. And also the climate that we're in right now, you might have a viral hit that does well for you, but can you release a project that's going to do the numbers that would be necessary to pay back such a large advance? It's tough nowadays, right? Are you going to be able to recreate that viral moment again and again just with that one song? It might not get you to where you want to go. So you got to think about that. The difference between having that one hit song and being able to put out an album, if that's what they're talking about, that will sell enough or generate enough revenue through streams or however they're going to get there to make that money back. It's a big venture.
Yeah. So hopefully she gets put up on game even more, and gets her stuff straight, so she's not fodder for the industry.
By the way, that while y'all are talking about hip hop, man, I just want to quickly shout out the fact that one of my favorite artists and stuff over the last couple of years and stuff. One of my favorite new artists, Toby Nwigwe, just did a track with Nas. Amazing. Props to him.
He's dope.
And
he's dope.
Killer Mike's new album is going to be dope as hell, because the new single that got released today, man, it's got Andre 3 Stacks on it with the most amazing verse we've heard in a very long time.
Nice. Toby's also in the new Transformers movie.
Yeah, I mean, like, here's the thing, man. I'm happy he got a check. I'm probably gonna skip that one, but at the same time, yo, feed those babies. He got 4 kids now with Fat.
Yeah,
make that money.
So it's good. It's good to see, because he's doing it. It seems he seems to be. I think he's still independent, isn't he?
Yeah, he's doing it right.
Yeah, so he's doing it on his own. So, like, you know, it's dope, and his music is dope, and his whole like
directing all the videos,
everything. Yeah, like he had a plan. You could tell.
Yeah, man. I think it's his sister doing the choreography, or somebody like part of the family and stuff, because she's in everything too. You know what I mean? So
nice.
Yeah.
So, well, we lost Mike.
Mike, you are on mute.
I'm on mute?
There you are. Now we got you.
Now you're good.
Oh, I didn't unmute myself just now. I don't know what happened there. Okay. So I said, speaking of good news, the Rockaway Homeless Shelter case, I know a lot of people have been asking about that. I am the attorney on that case. COVID, as many people know, shut the courts down for quite some time. And these civil cases were administratively adjourned, meaning they were just sitting there. The court put them off to a later date to be determined. Well, that happened to this case. And in addition to that, a court employee marked it as disposed while it was still pending. Now, I know some people have their theories on that. They think that might have been done intentionally. I personally do not think that's the case. I am satisfied that that was done by accident, but it is frustrating nonetheless. The bottom line here is that courts are back in session, and we were able to file a motion to get the case restored to the calendar, which it was. And subsequently, arguments resumed on the case. And as of today, the papers have all been marked submitted, and they are before the judge, meaning we are hoping for a decision on this case within the next couple months. So we will report back on that, but I wanted to let everyone know. It was in the Rockaway Times this week. The word on the street was the case was underway. That's where we were at. The case resumed, and as of today, it is marked submitted. So more details to come on that.
Awesome.
Now, are we ready for the main event here? I know we had a poll last week, but I think we're going to put that off till next week, because it seems the theme of this episode is part 2s, right? And I guess next week will be the poll question of the week, part 2, about sealing criminal convictions. But speaking of criminal convictions or potential convictions, right? This is the second Trump indictment that we've had officially today. This is a federal one. And the indictment itself has been unsealed, so we have access to it. You can go online and read it yourself if you would like. We have it here. It's 49 pages. And we figured we would go through it and break it down and give our commentary along the way.
Now, full disclosure, I haven't gone through it, so I'm going to be enlightened at the same time. So I'm excited.
Yeah. So let's get to it. We're looking at.
So correct me if I'm wrong, Mike. So this one is 38 counts with 37 felony indictments. Last one was 34. This one is 38 with 37 felonies.
Okay, we will get to that when we do. I know I read through it before, but my recollection of this is most of these counts relate to particular documents that were classified. Right.
But here's an interesting thing. So I just saw like a legal breakdown of this indictment, and one major sticking point that they talked in relation to conviction is that there's a lot more precedent here for these individual felonies to be given to him consecutively rather than concurrently. So for felonies relating to the Espionage Act, there's a lot of times that folks are sentenced consecutively rather than concurrently.
Right. So here we go. Here's the link. I put it in the Zoom here. Jay, if you want to grab that and put it in the chat, so if anyone watching wants to follow along, they can. We'll start.
The
actual indictment is a PDF.
Yep.
I put it in the chat already.
Okay, there you go. So anyone watching can follow with us. I'm starting from the beginning here, page 1. I'm not going to go through everything because it's going to take too long, but I want to summarize the main points here. So the first thing I'll say is this: USA versus Donald J. Trump and Waltine Nauta, who was his body man, right? One of his aides. Apparently this guy was in the Navy and ended up being his body man after he left office. I believe he began that in 2021.
Yeah, correct. No, so it's actually very interesting. I was at first I was under the misapprehension that he was taking public money, that he was a Secret Service agent. No, this was an individual that was basically, if you guys ever watched The West Wing, he was basically Charlie for the president, right? He was the body man and stuff that ended up getting hired privately by Trump to continue that work as, I guess, an executive assistant with way more duties, I guess.
Yeah, and so he is charged with helping the former president hide these documents, conceal these documents, not come forward with a subpoena. And there's some interesting scenarios in here that we'll get to where it looks like they were hiding. They were moving boxes to a different room so the attorney couldn't find them. Things like that.
Now, there was and different. Hold on a second, and also different locations.
Yeah,
between Mar-a-Lago and Bedminster.
Now there was a thing I did send you a couple of days ago where there's a picture of the boxes. I didn't realize how many he took. It was a massive amount.
That was just, by the way, that was just one area, man. And like that's the area. The reason that's a famous photo is because it's a bathroom with a chandelier, and it's such nonsense. This is peak Morinism here.
But like here's the thing: for it to be that much, that to me obviously shows intent. It's not like I accidentally took some boxes home. Like you took like all the records with you.
Bro, you don't understand. They have them on tape. They have the man on tape showing off documents to people. This is not a thing. This isn't just a photo. They have them on tape.
Yeah,
but I mean that's damn to me.
Ever.
To me, that's very damning for his.
We'll get to that. We haven't gotten to that point yet. But
one thing before in the chat, Lixa said to please explain concurrently versus consecutively. As a lawyer, you want to take that one?
Yeah. So concurrently, so if you're sentenced, let's say you're convicted of several counts or several crimes, and then when you're sentenced, you have to pay your punishment for each of the crimes, right? So a concurrent sentence means that you're paying the price for them at the same time, right? So like, let's say there's 5 years for crime 1 and 10 years for crime 2. Concurrent means, well, after the first 5 years, you've done your 5 years for crime 1 and you have 5 years left for crime 2 because you served that sentence on both crimes concurrently at the same time. Consecutively would mean you had to do 5 years for crime 1 and then the 10 years for crime 2, which would be 15 years and so forth.
So on each one of these documents, he's facing as much as 10 years, man. So if on consecutive sentencing, you can face more than 300. See, in the first case, you were talking about 34 counts and blah, 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 1.5 years for each. He wasn't really facing all of that cumulative time. Like for a lot of this stuff, those things get, are concurrent sentences. For this, nah, man. This is a lot of consecutive term territory here because you are now marked as a traitor to your country.
And let's bring up the point that this is a federal indictment. That's why it's United States of America v. the defendants, because he is being accused of federal offenses here. So this is a much more serious thing. I saw on TV, I forget who it was. Somebody on TV was saying, there's that saying, people say, don't make a federal case out of it. People don't say, don't make a New York State case out of it, right? The federal case is seen as more serious.
Correct. Right. Well, it's also because, and also federal prosecutors and stuff tend to get convictions a lot more and stuff than local jurisdictions. And also, folks convicted of federal time tend to do a lot more of it than they do on state time.
Right. Well, which is a more serious thing. So let's get into it here. The parties, obviously, Trump talks about being the former president of the United States.
Hopefully my video is predictive. So
your video is predictive?
Yeah, my Hit the Road Trump video.
Oh yeah.
At the end of it, it shows Trump going into prison and the crying in the cell. So let's
Well, here we go. So the first thing this indictment says, now we're on page 2, over the course of his presidency, he gathered newspapers, press clippings, letters, notes, cards, photographs, official documents, and other materials in cardboard boxes that he kept in the White House. Among the materials in these boxes were hundreds of classified documents, right? So he just put a whole bunch of stuff, including classified documents, allegedly, in these boxes. Now, when we ask about, okay, what are these classified documents? Why are they so important? Why do we care? So what? They're classified. What does that mean? It starts going into detail here that these were military related, right? For the most part, they regarded weapons and defense capabilities of the US and foreign countries, US nuclear programs, potential vulnerabilities of the US and its allies to military attack, plans for possible retaliation in response to an attack.
Correct. So, and people, by the way, you can actually look directly to starting on page 28, which actually lists the documents in question. Some of this is very, very scary stuff. We should go on it when we get to it and stuff.
We'll get to that, right? Because I saw one of them that was like, here's a document about the nuclear capabilities of the US. He just had that in a box.
Yeah, and it's something, I don't care who you are, which president you are, you should not be walking out of the White House with that information. That stays there. Like this shouldn't be, you know.
It was in a bathroom, and then it was in the ballroom at Mar-a-Lago, like just chilling there.
I mean, I don't think, this is personal opinion, but I'm pretty sure the idea was that he was going to, you know, either be a big shot and show it off to people, one, which he was obviously doing, and two, look to make some profit off of it.
Right. And I think there's just a sense of entitlement here. You know, he was going around saying he didn't lose, right? He's still the president. He's still your president. He would say that. I think he just thought, hey, listen, these are mine. I'm not going to give these up. I'm still the man.
Not only that, I mean, and a large portion of this is also just specifically obstructing the efforts of the government getting these documents back.
Right, we'll get to that as well. And that's what
people need to remember that he's not charged with any of the documents that he actually did turn over prior to the enforcement and the actual when they went into Mar-a-Lago to actually recover documents. You know what I mean? So everything before that date, really before July, they went in August and stuff. They actually went in on my birthday and stuff, which was, you know, a nice birthday from the government. Yeah, man. So like everything before July and stuff, they didn't charge him for any of those documents that he
kept.
Let's
keep in mind also Mike Pence came forward with the documents that he had, right? Because he was trying
to as did Joe Biden, to be fair, right? And so
Right. Now, I want to point out before we get into that part that kind of what's happening right now was kind of I don't want to say predicted, but was people were worried about in the intelligence community before he even took office. If you remember, they were concerned about the candidates that were going to be running for president that were viable candidates were getting these security briefings. And so there was, if you remember the news at the time, was that the security community was worried that doing this for Trump would, have him leaking it or telling, people and all this and that. And so they were talking about the rules at the time. But now here we are, after he did become president, here we are, and he's got this mass storage of secret documents that we have this possibility.
There's also this irony here, which is also part of the indictment about how Trump made a lot of his campaign about Hillary's emails, right? And how she had classified information in there. And look what he ends up doing. So the indictment goes on to say that the unauthorized disclosure of these classified documents could put at risk the national security of the U.S., foreign relations, the safety of the military and human resources, et cetera. I mean,
they also at a certain point break down the classification of the documents. Right. So between top secret, confidential, and so on and so forth, right? They actually talk about the difference between grave danger to the country. Then there was like total danger and then just danger. And I was like, okay.
All right, well, let's keep going. We'll speak on something when we get to it in the indictment so we can get through this. So it talks about Mar-a-Lago, which people know it's an active social club, hosted events for tens of thousands of members and guests. After the presidency, it was not an authorized location for storage, possession, review, display, or discussion of classified documents. Nevertheless, Trump stored his boxes containing classified documents in various locations at the Mar-a-Lago club, including, and there are pictures to show this, in a ballroom, a bathroom and shower, an office space, his bedroom, and a storage room. Now this is where it starts getting spicier, I guess. On 2 occasions in 2021, he allegedly showed classified documents to others as follows, and it outlines the 2 instances, which later on, it goes into more detail about it, actually has some dialogue because it was recorded, right? But the first instance was at the club, the golf club in Bedminster, New Jersey, that he owns. And that's where there was an audio recorded meeting with the writer, a publisher, and two members of the staff, none of whom possessed security clearance, where he showed and described a plan of attack that he said was prepared for him by the Department of Defense and a senior military official. And he made the comment, as president, I could have declassified it. Now I can't, but this is still a secret. So he's admitting on tape that it's a secret and it's classified. And yet he is showing this document to people who we're not supposed to be seeing it.
Right.
Now, the second instance was also at the Bedminster Club. He showed a representative of his political action committee, who did not possess a security clearance as well, a classified map related to a military operation. And again, he told the representative he should not be showing it to him and that the representative should not get too close. So again, he knows that the stuff is classified and he should not be showing it. Then he talks about, and I would just obviously say, when I say, he did this, he did that, I'm speaking to what the indictment is saying, right? So this is obviously all alleged. Everyone is innocent until proven guilty, but I am covering what the indictment is saying. And some of it, as it mentions, is actually on tape. So the FBI opened a criminal investigation into the unlawful retention of classified documents. And as Andrey was alluding to, what Trump and his aide allegedly did now were endeavor to conceal some of these documents and not cooperate with the investigation in various ways, right? Part of this is they're saying he told or he suggested his attorney should lie about it, do what he said Hillary's attorney did and take the blame himself. At one point, which we'll get to, the attorney is saying that Trump made like a plucking motion, I guess like this, to suggest that he should remove files out of the folder he finds that make him look bad.
And he was Trump gave him shit for taking notes.
Right.
It's absolutely, it's astounding. He said, no.
So here are some
don't take notes. Guy said, I'm a real lawyer, and it's wild. It is wild stuff.
Here are the ways that they say that he endeavored to obstruct the FBI and grand jury investigations. He suggested that his attorney falsely represent to the FBI and grand jury that he did not have the documents.
By the way, you should mention, I'm sorry, I keep interrupting you. Just mention why all of this privileged information was released in relation to the attorney records and stuff. Why is this part of the indictment? Things that are relating to the attorney.
Right. So
the attorney's been charged in some counts, hasn't he?
Say it again.
An attorney or someone close to him has also been charged.
Not in this particular indictment.
No, they're a cooperating witness at this point because there was because of the crime fraud exemption and stuff, it pierces the confidentiality between attorney and client. That is why we have the documents and notes relating to.
When you tell your attorney to commit a crime, you no longer are privileged.
And that's why we have those notes that Mike's referring to.
So, which we will get to. So the other thing, I just wanted to lay out these 5 accusations about how he obstructed the investigations, right? He suggested his attorney falsely represent that they didn't have the documents. He directed the other defendant, Waltine Nalta, to move boxes of documents to conceal them from the attorney, right? The FBI and the grand jury. He suggested that his attorney hide or destroy documents called for by the subpoena. He provided to the FBI and grand jury just some of the documents called for while claiming he was cooperating fully, even though obviously he wasn't bringing all the documents forward. And he caused a certification to be submitted to the FBI and grand jury, falsely representing that all documents called for by the grand jury subpoena had been produced, while knowing that, in fact, not all of them had been produced. So what's interesting to me is that he apparently allowed some of these documents to be produced, but not all of them. He wanted to keep some of them in his possession and lie about that. I wonder why he chose to keep some, but not others. These are all classified documents that he shouldn't have had, right? Why were some more important to not be found?
Right. I mean, to me, that indicates a sort of, I don't like to use the word intelligence in connection with him, but I mean, a method, right? Like, okay, well, these definitely want to keep these, but these, all right, let's just go ahead and give that. So it seems like he knew what he had And
no, man. I think he was just so dumb that he just keeps the shit that is obviously spicy. You know what I mean? Like the fucking, the alien photos, the JFK assassination stuff, the Iranian fucking nuclear fucking site. You know what I mean? Like that's the spicy stuff that is so obvious and blatant to him. Like, yo, this top secret shit, man. I got it. So I think that's what it is, man. I think the super nuanced stuff he doesn't care for.
Yeah, I mean, it could be just another way of him trying to hold on to power, right?
Yeah, I'm sure that too. Yeah, I'm just, I would like to see the alien photos, though. I would definitely.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think we should get to see some of this stuff now. Right?
Yeah, I mean that's a whole different discussion, but I think we should definitely get to see that. We deserve that. You don't get to see that if there's aliens visiting from other planets. The planet should know that.
So it talks about here how, on January 17th, nearly a year after he left office and months after demands for these records, Trump provided only 15 boxes containing 197 documents with classification markings. Then on June 3rd, in response to a grand jury subpoena demanding the production of all documents with classification markings, his attorney provided to the FBI 38 more documents with classification markings. Then on August 8th, pursuant to a court-authorized search warrant, the FBI recovered at the Mar-a-Lago Club 102 more documents with classification markings. So you're talking about official efforts via subpoenas and demands for these documents to be turned over, and them really dragging their feet on giving all the documents up.
Right. So
okay, we talked about the co-conspirator here in this indictment, Nauta, who was the United States Navy stationed as a valet in the White House during his presidency, and he became an executive assistant in the former president's office in August of 21. And like Andrey said, his personal aide or body man. They use the term body man in politics. It's kind of a funny phrase, but it's like the person that you have with you for whatever reason.
To be fair, it sounds slightly more politically correct than valet. Having a personal valet seems very kind of nasty and aristocratic and kind of.
But body man sounds slightly sexual.
It sounds very sexual.
Yeah.
I mean, y'all guys got your minds in the gutter and whatever, because y'all are hip hop guys, or I guess. But like
body man, I mean, it's not like that's a context that comes up anywhere else. It's a very awkward phrase.
It sounds either sexual.
Does bodyguard sound sexual to you?
No, but a body man sounds either sexual or it sounds like
keep it moving. Keep it moving. The body is for multiple things. Keep it moving.
But it could also sound like hitman.
Like what?
Body man also sounds like hitman as well.
That I can see more so. I can see that more so. But that's just the way that I was brought up. I was trying to see the good in people.
But why body man?
There's no good in his crew. There's no good there.
Why body man? Why not just, personal aide or executive assistant?
All right, it's a long indictment, guys. So let's go.
All right, we'll skip over. It tells you what the Mar-a-Lago Club is. We know what that is.
It's the Southern White House, isn't it?
Basically. Well, he wants it to be with all the classified documents in there, right?
Right.
All right. So it goes into what classified documents. I don't think we need to talk about the difference between top secret, secret, or confidential.
No,
yes,
he shouldn't have any of that stuff. That's just.
Yes, we should.
I don't think any president should be walking out.
Check this out. Top secret. If the unauthorized.
Did you just have that sitting there ready?
Hold on. Listen, check this out. No, this is kind of.
No, it's on page 5, bottom of page 5.
It's good. Top secret. If the unauthorized disclosure of the information reasonably could be expected to cause exceptionally grave danger to the national security that the original classification authority was able to identify or describe. Secret, if the unauthorized disclosure of that information reasonably could be expected to cause serious damage, and then confidential, if the unauthorized disclosure of the information reasonably could be expected to cause damage. So,
if anyone is marking documents as top secret, secret, or confidential, now you know how to mark them.
Exceptionally grave damage, serious damage, and just damage. Keep that in mind for the future. But exceptionally grave damage, that sounds like an RPG term, bro. That's wild.
Yeah, right. Critical hit.
Crazy stuff.
And we have to keep an eye. So that's important to know when we go through some of these documents later on. We want to keep an eye on how many of them were marked as top secret, right?
Yeah, man. And also correct. And not only that, it's also like some of them just like can't even be declassified in part because like some of them like are only partially declassified even in title. It's how like ridiculous these documents are. Like this is why you should not
have. What is the classification no foreign, Andre?
Not to be released to foreign nationals.
Yeah, not to be released to foreign nationals. Are you asking me specifically because like I'm a naturalized citizen and you're like giving me shit?
I figured you were on a roll with the top secret versus confidential.
Like he had that ready. He was like, no, we should talk about it. Boom, here. Yeah, it's
here like, it is. He pulled it out of the orb that was in front of
me. I like that wonky shit, man. I think that's kind of cool.
Let's be clear. I don't think anyone leaving office should be able to take any of these documents home. If they are classified, top secret, or what have you, confidential, they should not be going with someone leaving the office. They should have to stay, no matter who it is. So I don't understand.
There are other classifications here too. SCI, sensitive compartmented information. SAP, special.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we can skip along that. So
yeah, I don't think any of this should be a thing. There shouldn't even need to be like, okay, you're not allowed to take documents home. Like that should be a given. Like you can't take anything out of the office.
All right, let's keep this going here because then it talks about the president's daily briefing, which many people know about, but the intelligence community briefs the president every day on important things that they need to know, right? A lot of it is military related, CIA related. It talks about some of these agencies that are involved: the CIA, the Department of Defense, the National Security Agency, the National Reconnaissance Office. I never even heard of that one. Department of Energy, Department of State and Bureau of Intelligence and Research. So they're giving him briefings and documents every day, and he's keeping a lot of them, even though it's marked as confidential. Obviously, while he's president, he has access to them, right? But he's not supposed to take them with him because they're marked as confidential, a top secret, or they have other markings that indicate that they pose a potentially grave danger to the security of the U.S. if people get their hands on them.
One real quick question in the chat, and kind of Andre also kind of alluded to that, is the question was, as naturalized citizens, are they still considered foreign nationals?
No.
Okay.
So foreign nationals are specifically individuals with foreign nationalities. They are not nationalists, naturalized, or naturally born of this country. I am a citizen and a patriot of this nation. This does not refer to me, although I should not be reading these documents either.
Right.
I do not have clearance.
Well, it's good that you're not reading them. So I want to keep this moving here. The indictment.
By the way, I would keep that shit so much more secure than both that guy and the current president too, bro. I don't have a Corvette. I don't have a garage. I would I wouldn't even touch it.
They'd be sitting in a pile of smoke in your apartment.
Bro, I'll buy a safe. I'll put it in a safe.
It won't be on your grand ballroom.
It will not be my grand ballroom, but it'll be protected by a grand bulldog.
So the indictment goes on to say when he was running for president, he made a number of statements about how it was so important for us to protect the classified information, right? On September 16th or 19th, he said, we also need the best protection of classified information. You know, everything's the best. So there was that. When he was running for president, he acknowledged the importance of keeping.
It's all bluster. It's all bluster from him.
All right, so here we go. Page 10 now. Trump's retention of classified documents after his presidency. It says in January 2021, as he was preparing to leave the White House, he and his staff, including Nauta, the co-defendant, packed items, including some of his boxes. He was personally involved, Trump was, in this process. He caused his boxes containing hundreds of classified documents to be transported from the White House to the Mar-a-Lago club. And now you see the first picture here. This isn't a very good picture of it. The indictment I saw had a better rendering, a better photograph of it. But here you see some of the boxes. In fact, there are many boxes here on the stage of the grand ballroom.
Right. And, you know, it begs the question how these things aren't vetted. I mean, I kind of get, you could say, well, you know, that he lived there for 4 years. And so you could accumulate this much personal effects in that time. But you would still think at this level that these things would be vetted. There'd be someone looking over it saying, okay, you know, this is yours, this isn't. Like, I don't know.
Vetted by whom? His staff, you mean?
Staff, someone, like, so that no one's just walking out with like a truckload of confidential and secret documents. Like, we're not that incompetent to just leave it open like that.
Right. And also he shouldn't have been just putting these documents in boxes with other things, right? Instead he got, cards and letters and all these different things. He would just put a bunch of stuff in boxes. Apparently some of it was confidential, some of it was just regular stuff. Like, why is he not taking more care to separate out the confidential material, put it in a safe?
And
it can't be accessed.
These things were well known enough that two staffers of Mar-a-Lago, which is on page 11, which is you're coming to right now, literally describe these boxes as the beautiful mind papers.
Yeah.
Okay? And referring to the film, A Beautiful Mind.
Right.
Where, I mean, Trump is not a mathematician, but he is a crazy man with papers.
All right. Well, here we go.
Like, just a bunch of papers, bro. This is just, I mean, it's wild, wild shit.
So bottom of page 10, you see that picture, and the statement is that some of these boxes were stored in the grand ballroom, the Mar-a-Lago Club's white and gold ballroom, in which events and gatherings took place. His boxes were stacked on the ballroom stage for a time. So imagine that. Imagine there are events happening at this ballroom, and these classified documents with potentially information on the U.S.'s nuclear codes and things like that are just sitting there for anyone at this ballroom to just take.
No. Before an event, they got moved by the Mar-a-Lago employees to the lake house.
Before every event? Do we know that for a fact?
We don't know that for a fact. We just know that there were events taking place, and certain times the employees would refer to the papers as the Beautiful Mind paper boxes, and then they would move to be like, "Yo, should we move them to the lake house?"
But it does say, though, between January through March 15th of 2021, some of these boxes were stored on the stage in which events and gatherings took place. So it seems to be suggesting that there were events happening at some point here. While those documents were there.
Wild.
In March, it says they moved some of the boxes from the stage to the business center at the Mar-a-Lago Club.
Okay.
April. Okay, here we go. Now we can start getting into some of these.
This is what I was talking about, the Beautiful Mind stuff. Yeah.
Okay. So in April, there apparently was a text exchange between two employees of the office of Donald Trump to ask whether the boxes could be moved out of the business center to make room for staff to use it as an office. And here you have Trump employee 2 replying, "Whoa, okay, so POTUS specifically asked Walt for those boxes to be in the center because they are his papers." Later that day, Trump employee 1 and 2 exchanged the following text messages. So do you guys want to read those?
All right. We can definitely make it work if we move his papers into the lake room.
Jay, you want to do that one?
There's still a little room in the shower where his other stuff is. Is it only his papers he cares about? There's some other stuff in there that are not papers. Could that go to storage, or does he want everything in there on property?
Yes. Anything that's not the Beautiful Mind paper boxes can definitely go to storage. Want to take a look at the space and start moving tomorrow AM?
I think we deserve awards for that.
No.
The next opportunities. That's just a warm up. So after that exchange, beautifully done, by the way, some of the boxes were moved from the business center to a bathroom and shower in the lake room, as depicted in the photograph here. And they've got pictures of boxes in a bathroom with a chandelier and a shower curtain behind them.
I put some of the pictures. There's an ABC News article that showed pictures of the boxes and where they were stored and literally how much. And even some of them there's a picture here that showed one of the boxes was tipped over and just spilled out on the floor. I put that in the chat. So
then in May, Trump directed that a storage room on the ground floor of the club be cleaned out so it could be used to store his boxes. The hallway leading to the room could be reached from multiple outside entrances, including one accessible from the pool patio through a doorway that was often kept open. So you're there at the club, in the pool, on the patio, there's a door that's often open. You could just walk in theory, right into the storage room and get to the boxes.
Yeah.
In June, boxes that were in the lake room were moved to the storage room. After the move, there were more than 80 boxes in the storage room as depicted in the following photographs. Now you see the boxes in the storage room. So, these boxes are being moved all over the place here. And this is what you referred to, Jay. We're on the bottom of page 13 now, going into page 14. In December of 2021, the co-defendant found several of the boxes fallen and their contents spilled onto the floor of the storage room, including a document marked secret REL to USA FVEY, which denoted that the information in the document was releasable only to the Five Eyes Intelligence Alliance, consisting of Australia, Canada, New Zealand, the UK, and the US.
No, that shit is wild.
So then you have the co-defendant here
employee
texting.
Text photograph, man. Come on.
Yeah. You've got the co-defendant here texting employee 2 saying, I opened the door and found this. And here's the picture. Trump employee 2 replied, who is employee 2? I think that was Jay.
Employee 2.
Am I employee 2?
Yeah,
no, I'm employee 1.
Oh.
Yeah. I opened the door and found this.
No.
Oh, no. Oh, no. I'm sorry, POTUS had my phone.
Yeah, there you go. And you see the pictures here. These documents just all over the floor.
This is
all right. Doesn't stop there, right? In May of 2021, it says he caused some of the boxes to be brought to a summer house at the Bedminster Club in New Jersey. And of course, like the Mar-a-Lago Club, this club is not an authorized location for storage, possession, review, display, or discussion of classified documents. Now we're getting to the dialogue we want to get into. Who's going to play Trump?
I'm going to do Trump. But listen, so I'm also going to read the brackets for the purposes of this.
Right. Gotcha.
This page 15?
Yeah, we're on page 15. So the context here is this is July 21st of 2021. Of course, he's no longer president, and he's giving an interview in his office at the Bedminster Club in New Jersey to a writer and a publisher for a forthcoming book, right? Which I guess the book already came out because it said it was then forthcoming. But
and there's also 2 staffers, 2 Mar-a-Lago staffers.
Right. 2 staffers are also there, and they recorded this with Trump's knowledge and consent. So that's important. This is all recorded.
So he knew that this was going to be, this is, and it sounds like it was done for show. So, I mean.
Well, it was for the book. And
I mean,
so
look, first off, don't forget Trump gave interview after interview to writers he knew were going to write horrible things about him. And each time we just keep going. And like, he just likes the publicity, bro. And so like this.
He does.
Like, part of the fucking,
All right, so let's set this up here because before the interview, I guess the media published reports that at the end of Trump's term, a senior military official, and we can speculate who that is, but a senior military official apparently feared that Trump might order an attack on some country, and the official advised Trump against doing so. Well, during this interview, Trump seems to find a document that he thinks proves that this plan did not originate with him, but from the military and perhaps that official himself, right?
All right, we ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
Who is going to be
writer? I'll be the writer. Well, I mean, who's the writer? Who's the staffer, I guess is the question. The writer doesn't say much. The writer just says, wow, I think.
I'll be the writer.
All right, I'll be the staffer.
All right. Well, with the senior military official, let me see that. I'll show you an example. He said that I wanted to attack country A. Isn't it amazing? I have a big pile of papers. This thing just came up. Look, this was him. They present me this. This is off the record, but they present me this. This was him. This was the Defense Department and him.
Wow.
Look at some. This was him. This wasn't done by me. This was him. All sorts of stuff. Papers long. Look. Wait a minute. Let's see here.
Yeah.
I just found, isn't that amazing? This totally wins my case,
Mm-hmm.
Except it's like highly confidential.
Yeah.
Secret. This is secret information. Look at this. You attacking. By the way, the previous scene was redacted because it was so fucking classified that they couldn't actually put it into the indictment. That is not stage direction. Right. That is literally a piece where he showed some shit that they couldn't put into this indictment document.
Right.
And we continue. By the way, isn't that incredible?
Yeah.
I was just thinking, because we were talking about it, and he said he wanted to attack country A, and what? You
did.
This was done by the military and given to me. I think we can probably write.
I don't know. We'll have to see. Yeah, we'll have to try to
declassify it.
Figure out. Yeah.
See, as president, I could have declassified it.
Yeah.
Now I can't, but this is still a secret.
Yeah. Now
it's not
we have a problem. Yeah.
And scene.
Oh, bravo.
So it seems like even the staffer was saying you did want to attack that country.
Bro, this is just like peak stupidity here, guys.
And we're obviously making light of it, but this is especially what you pointed out about certain parts being too crazy to be in this indictment.
Too hot for TV.
Presents real danger for the nation. Yeah. Very, very real danger for the nation. And not only the nation, but even some of our partners, depending on what was in those documents.
Hey, man, let me flip something else to you, man. So that document that was mentioned in the photo just before and stuff, those are the top secret agencies that can view it, not just like some random official from the country and stuff. That the Five Eyes and stuff, man, like that's some crazy shit. For just a random dude at Mar-a-Lago to have a photo of that on his phone,
right?
Just like, do you know how easy it is to hack somebody's photos? Jesus Christ! Like, come on, like that is horrible.
Right. So there's another incident
folks
here
that are just randomly in Mar-a-Lago and stuff from foreign, like the foreign nationals that would visit just on like a whim to visit Trump and potentially just overhear some shit that he might say. Here's a staffer that you could just hack his phone who's serving you champagne.
Right. Now, let me ask a question real quickly, and has it been brought up? And it was also brought up in the chat earlier. Has anyone tried to connect or if there is any connection between the accumulation of all of these documents that Trump has had all these years since leaving office and the $2 billion contract that Kushner received shortly after Trump left office? The $2 billion contract he received from Saudi Arabia.
I mean, look, I don't want to necessarily comment on that because I don't want to speak to something that I don't know about.
Okay, so that's all. Just asking if that was brought up anywhere or if that's anything that they're looking at.
I don't think that's in this indictment.
Right now. Okay.
So there's another incident here in August or September of 2021. He met in his office at the Bedminster Club a representative of his political action committee. And during this meeting, he commented that an ongoing military operation in a different country was not going well. I don't know if that's Afghanistan or what that's supposed to be, but he apparently showed this PAC representative a classified map of the country and told him he should not be showing him a map to the country, should not be showing the map of the country to him, and he should not get too close. This representative did not have a security clearance or any need to know classified information about the military operation. And let's see, 2017, 4 years before his disclosures of classified information set forth above, he said at a press conference, okay, so they're going, they had some of this in here earlier, right? About when he was running for president, how he was talking about it was very important to keep things classified. I guess it's reiterating that with a different instance of it where he says, Andrey, you want to read this one?
The first thing I thought.
As Trump, let's go.
Oh, come on. That's my Bobcat Goldthwait voice, man. The first thing I thought of when I heard about it is, how does the press get this information that's classified? How do they get it? How do they do it? You know why? Because it's an illegal process, and the press should be ashamed of themselves. But more importantly, the people that gave out the information to the press should be ashamed of themselves. Really ashamed.
So apparently count 39 in this indictment is Trump should be found to be really ashamed.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's actually recently on the last couple of days, there's been video going around of him making this case for how these classified documents. Of course, he was talking about his stuff with Hillary Clinton at the time, but talking about how this should never happen. They should be protected, so. They're going to use his own words against him.
Yeah. So it goes on here about how there were requests for these documents. They were delaying. They were sending pictures back and forth of boxes to each other internally. We've got here November 25th of 2021, Trump employee 2 texting the co-defendant about Trump's review of the contents of his boxes, asking, has he mentioned boxes to you? I delivered some, but I think he may need more. Could you ask if he'd like more in Pine Hall? Pine Hall was an empty room in his residence, it says. The co-defendant Nauta replied in 3 successive text messages, nothing about boxes yet. He has one he's working on in Pine Hall, knocked out 2 boxes yesterday. So they're working on these, they're moving these, they're doing something with them. You've got another text here saying, next you are on property, no rush. Could you help bring 4 more boxes up? The reply from the co-defendant, yes, of course. You've got this continuing, more talk about the boxes, moving the boxes, stacking the boxes, tracking the boxes. So this is after requests were made to produce the confidential documents, right? Now they're going through the boxes. I guess they realize there's a problem now and they're seeing what they're going to do about it. Are they going to move the boxes?
Yeah. I do have a question though. Trump's been out of office for, I don't know, how many years now? 2 years now?
2.5.
Why did it take so long for them to recognize and realize that he had these boxes?
Well, the request did not start very long after he left office. It was really him delaying in bringing them forward.
For 2.5 years, there's a process that allows delaying of turning over
this was
classified documents for 2.5 years.
Hold on a second.
Beginning in May. Hold on. The indictment says right here, beginning in May of 2021. So you're talking about 5 months, not even 5 months after. The National Archives and Records Administration, which is responsible for archiving presidential records, repeatedly demanded that he turn over presidential records he had kept after his presidency. On multiple occasions, beginning in June, they warned him that if he did not comply, it would refer to the matter of missing records to the Department of Justice. So a few months after, they were demanding these records, but he was dragging his feet the whole time.
But these are secret and classified documents. How do they just not kick in your door and come and get them?
They did in August.
Yeah.
In August of
2021. 2022.
Okay. 2022, right?
2020. Yeah. So that's what, a year and some change after? Like, how do they listen? If you don't pay your child support, like they're coming to your door and get you.
Here's the thing. They were asking him to turn over documents they didn't know, right? They wouldn't know all of the documents that he had because he was the president. So they didn't have them. He had them.
So not only that, so they turned over some documents. Then the attorneys literally had to do a sweep of his house, and then he said, "Hey, I gave you all the documents."
And he lied to the attorneys, and he concealed it from the attorneys as well.
Right. You get that.
And then blah blah blah. So it's like, yeah. So this is a process. It wasn't
if some staffer, like you said, serving champagne has pictures on his phone. These documents aren't being hidden very well. Like all it would take is to walk into Mar-a-Lago and you'd see some stuff on a stage. Like, how does it take that long for us to get to this point?
We don't know.
And the FBI are not. I just want to point out, like, the FBI are not heroes here. It's just that Donald Trump is the villain. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
It's
We also don't know that anyone at Mar-a-Lago was there, went through the boxes, saw classified, and just didn't report it, right? I mean, maybe they would have, but there were boxes there. We don't know if anyone got into them. So it says here on March 30th, 2022, the FBI opened a criminal investigation. On April 26th, 2022, a federal grand jury opened an investigation. And then we're on page 21 now. It talks about the concealment of the boxes, right? All the efforts that were made. And it starts with Trump talking to attorney 1. Now, is there a dialogue here? Because I could be attorney 1, but no, it just looks like
no.
Okay, so attorney 1 is saying what happened here because he no longer has those duties of confidentiality to the president once the former president.
And attorney 1 is Corcoran.
Starts telling him to commit crimes, not cooperate with investigations. Right now, he's no longer bound to protect. In fact, he has a duty to not allow him to further those criminal intentions. So you've got 4 communications apparently here. This is pretty damning, right? The bottom of page 21. This is from the attorney saying that, what Trump said to him, apparently. So the first thing he said is, I don't want, Andrey, you want to read these?
Which one?
A, B, C, and D on the bottom of 21. This is Trump talking to his attorney.
I don't want anybody looking. I don't want anybody looking through my boxes. I really don't. I don't want you to looking through my boxes. Well, what if we, what happens if we just don't respond at all or don't play ball with them? Would it be better if we just told them we don't have anything here?
Well, look, what's the fourth one?
Isn't it better if there are no documents?
Right. That one is interesting. Isn't it better if there are no documents?
Right.
Like the Georgia thing. Can we just find these votes? Right. Like he's presenting an alternative version.
No. Let's be very real. What he's doing. He's being that little kid that says fires happen.
Yeah. And it's very insidious. Like, yeah. Let's just
don't forget. No documents. By the way, don't forget some documents did get damaged in a flooding accident in Mar-a-Lago.
Right. And he's saying, isn't it better if these documents didn't exist? Like, I didn't see anything if you didn't see anything.
Right. Exactly. And I don't think that's out of character for him to say that. It also begs the question are there any more documents or boxes that we don't even know about?
No, the thing is this. I think the better question is, I don't think that there are any more boxes, probably, but that exist. But were there boxes is the better question. What is the shit that's missing?
Right.
And how did it disappear?
And where is it?
On that point, Andre, on that point, here you go. The bottom of page 21, Trump again talking to his attorney. Now he's saying that Hillary Clinton's attorney did a great job with how he handled her email situation, right?
Correct. Hold on. I was getting my spinach ready. Just hold on a second.
That Trump voice is killing your throat.
Yeah, that and other things.
We're gonna go with the Trump voice.
Sure. So her attorney, he was great. He did a great job. You know what? He said that it was him. That he was the one who deleted all of her emails, the 30,000 emails, because they basically dealt with her scheduling and her going to the gym and her having beauty appointments. And he was great. And so she didn't get in any trouble because he said that he was the one who deleted them.
So, So he's suggesting to his attorney that his attorney basically bites the bullet. His attorney should say that he's the one who did this box's business and Trump had nothing to do with it.
Yo, by the way, Mike, since you're my attorney and stuff, that is our deal from now on.
What is the deal?
From now on, you're going to just take the blame for everything that I do ever. You know what I mean?
And then I'm going to be listed as Bystrov attorney 1 in an indictment. So, this goes on here about what's going on with the attorney here. It says Trump confirmed his understanding with attorney 1 that he would return to Mar-a-Lago to search for any documents with classification markings to produce in response to the subpoena. Attorney 1 made it clear that he would conduct a search for responsive documents by looking through his boxes that had been transported from the White House and remain in storage at Mar-a-Lago. Trump indicated he wanted to be at the Mar-a-Lago club when the attorney returned to review his boxes, and he would change his summer travel plans to do so. He told a second attorney that attorney did not need to be present for the review of boxes. After meeting with attorney 1 and attorney 2, he delayed his departure from Mar-a-Lago to Bedminster for the summer, so he would be present at the Mar-a-Lago club when the first attorney returned to review the boxes. So this apparently goes into the part where the co-defendant removed, at Trump's direction, a total of 64 boxes from the storage room and brought them to Trump's residence. So this appears to have been done in an effort to conceal them from the attorney, right? Because Trump knew the attorney was going to go through them and turn over anything classified that he found. And so now these guys, again, this is like a sitcom to me. This could be an episode of Veep or something, right? They're running around in the dark, moving these boxes into the bedroom or somewhere in their residence where the attorney can't find them. Their own attorney, right? They're hiding these boxes from their own attorney.
Yeah. There's
a text message here from a Trump family member to the co-defendant. Good afternoon, Walt. Happy Memorial Day. I saw you put boxes to POTUS room. Just FYI, and I will tell him as well. Not sure how many he wants to take on Friday on the plane. We will not have room. We will not have a room for them. Plane will be full with luggage. Thank you. Maybe she meant we will not have room for them. Plane will be full with luggage. So she's saying that you might want to take some of these boxes with them to Florida.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this goes on here talking about the conspiracy that apparently happened between Trump and a co-defendant to hide these boxes, knowing that the records were requested, knowing that obviously there's an investigation now, there's a grand jury, there are subpoenas, and the attorney is to hand over the classified material. So they're doing this behind his back.
Behind Trump's back?
No, behind the attorney's back.
Right.
So it says here between May 23rd and June 2nd of last year, before the attorney could review the boxes in the storage room, the co-defendant at Trump's direction moved approximately 64 boxes from the storage room to Trump's residence and brought to the storage room only approximately 30 boxes. So 30 boxes went to the storage room for the attorney to look at. 64 boxes were taken to the residence for the attorney not to find.
And you know, that's even more damaging, that, you know, he was going to hide from his own attorney because you know, it had to be reported that they were there, and he was going to have to turn them over. So he definitely was definitely showing that he was intending to keep these documents. You can't make up any mistakes on that.
Right. So here comes the plucking motion bit, which was kind of interesting as well. You've got the attorney here. So we're at the bottom of page 24. On June 2nd, 2022, the attorney did go to Mar-a-Lago to review the boxes, to look for classified markings, right? And this is, of course, in response to the subpoena. So the attorney is trying to cooperate with the subpoena here. The attorney located 38 documents with classification markings inside the boxes, and the attorney removed and placed it in a folder, it says. So, okay, so apparently he placed these documents in a folder. The attorney contacted the co-defendant and asked him to bring clear duct tape to the storage room, which he did. The attorney used the clear duct tape to seal the folder with the documents with classification markings inside. After he finished sealing the folder with the classification marked documents, the co-defendant took the attorney to a dining room at the Mar-a-Lago club to meet with Trump. And the attorney confirmed he was finished with the search of the storage room. And Trump asked, "Did you find anything? Is it bad? Good?" Then the attorney and Trump discussed what to do with this folder containing the classified documents, whether the attorney should bring them to his hotel room and put them in a safe there. During this conversation, Trump made a plucking motion as memorialized by the attorney. And I guess I can read this. This is what the attorney says. He made a funny motion as though, well, okay, why don't you take them with you to your hotel room? And if there's anything really bad in there, like, you know, pluck it out. And that was the motion that he made. He didn't say that. So I guess if you got this folder there, he must be going like this, right? Like gesturing to take things out of the folder. And if it's really bad, the insinuation here is that he should not produce these documents.
Right.
Now, if you notice how he talks, right? Because a lot of times he'll do things like that where he's trying to, like, it's like he's trying not to say things that he knows are blatantly criminal, right? So he'll say, well, isn't it better if there are no documents? Or he'll say, oh, if you find something bad, like he doesn't want to say it, right? Like he's trying to beat around the bush.
Yeah, look, he grew up with mob guy mentality and stuff in his mind, right? He grew up on the same like movies and stuff and whatever and stuff. So it was always about, you know what I mean, those like mafioso types and stuff that like would say a lot of shit without saying anything. Right. You know, like, let's go visit, you know what I mean, like cousin Wally or whatever, you know what I mean? Or do you paint houses? You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what the fuck you're talking about and shit. So that's the kind of relationship he tries to have, and a lot of that stuff is also built in from the time that he had Roy Cohen as his like main attorney.
I have no idea what those two references are.
Trump's attorney was tasked with the job of waste management, right?
Who, Roy Cohen?
No, attorney number one here.
Oh, well,
he's got to do some plucking. I don't think he was talking about his eyebrows.
What kind of waste management are we talking about here? We talking about like Godfather waste management? Or are we talking about body man waste management? What are you talking about here?
Apparently removing classified documents from this folder, at least.
Mm.
So
that's trimming the lawn.
All these codes, right?
That also sounds quite sexual.
The body man trims the lawn.
What's going on in that White House?
Yeah, right.
The Southern White House, you mean?
The Southern White House, yeah.
So we've got the attorney here.
Confederate White House.
We've got the attorney contacting another.
Did you say the Confederate White House?
Yeah, the Confederate Brown House. Whatever the fuck.
Wow, yeah, it makes sense too.
So, all right, moving on. Trump attorney 1 contacted another Trump attorney, they're calling attorney 3, right? And asked if she would come to the Mar-a-Lago club the next morning to act as a custodian of records and sign a certification regarding the search for documents in response to the subpoena. Trump attorney 3, who had no role in the review of the boxes, agreed. And so we've got attorney 3 now signing a certification as the custodian of records for the office of Donald J. Trump. And here's what the certification says. A diligent search was conducted of the boxes that were moved from the White House to Florida. This search was conducted after receipt of the subpoena in order to locate any and all documents that are responsive to the subpoena and any and all responsive documents accompany the certification. Now it says in the indictment, these statements are false, among other reasons, because Trump had directed the co-defendant to move boxes before the attorney 1's review so that many boxes were not searched and many documents responsive to the subpoena could not be found, and in fact were not found by the attorney.
Now, from that's all this stuff that's happening here now, and I see in the news that he seems to be having trouble finding new attorneys. As an attorney, would he not be like the most nightmare client?
Yeah, it's interesting because sometimes you'll get a high-profile client that you think will be great for your career, but they try to use that against you, right? Like I see Trump doing that, thinking I'm Trump, I'm former president, whatever. Everyone would die to be my attorney, and
right.
You might think then that they'll do whatever, right? They'll conceal evidence, they'll break the law even to stay on his good side because of his ego and who he thinks he is.
Yeah, but at this point, he's not really getting the top of the top here,
Right? They won't touch him.
There's just too many cases, man.
Too many cases, and I think you're talking about taking a case, defending a guy who's clearly up for like treason. Like, do you want to be?
So we're at the point now. Here we go. We're at the point now in the indictment where we get to the actual charges, right? So this gets more interesting here. We can talk about some of the stuff. It does have a summary here. Let's see. This is the execution of the warrant at Mar-a-Lago. The FBI seized 102 documents with classification markings in the office and storage room. And it says here there are 27 documents in the office, 6 top secret, 18 secret, 3 confidential, and 75 documents in the storage room, 11 top secret, 36 secret, and 28 confidential. So this is July 2022, right? Let's see. Okay, so in July 2022, the FBI and grand jury obtained and reviewed surveillance video from the club showing the movement of boxes. On August 8th, they executed the court-authorized search warrant at the club. And so they were able to recover these additional documents where obviously these were not turned over voluntarily.
Right.
So you're talking about 100 documents here that the FBI had to seize because Trump made an effort to conceal them.
Right.
All right, now we're on page 28. We can get to the counts. And counts 1 through 31, I believe, refer to specific documents, right? So when they say, why are there so many counts? The first 31 counts, and you can go through them on your own here. They start on page 28, and it goes all the way down to page 33. They simply specify what the documents are. And each document is its own count, right?
Right.
Because it's every document he's concealing is a separate crime, right? It's a crime to conceal any of them. He's concealing one in this indictment. So we're not going to obviously go through all of them here, but we can see what catches our eye on this. Because when I was looking at it, let's see. I know I found something that
was document really 3 concerning military capabilities of a foreign country in the United States.
Right.
Something like that is very, we don't want.
No, all the shit is wild. You guys are going through the documents now, right?
Yeah, like just looking at a few of them. But yeah, that's wild. That's incredibly wild.
Here you go. Look at this one. Document 19, undated document concerning nuclear weaponry of the United States.
Jesus Christ.
Undated document concerning military capabilities of foreign countries.
Undated document concerning military contingency planning of the United States. Like this is.
No, but hold on a second. Look at this though. Document 20. Top secret, redacted. The actual shit here is redacted and stuff in the document. Undated document concerning timeline and details of attack in a foreign country. I mean, like, this type of shit, it is wild. It is wild, the idea that somebody would just do this.
I mean, this is like, movie plot lines or something, right? This is not something that you expect to be put out there. Like these types of documents, especially, military capabilities of the United States, like really, come on.
Right. Military capabilities of a foreign country. You see that several times.
A lot of that.
Yeah. White House intelligence briefing related to various foreign countries. So a lot of military
activities in foreign countries.
Right. I mean, the fact that you have nuclear weaponry documents here is crazy, right? And who knows what's on that? I mean, could it be codes? Could it be, who knows, right? How many nukes we have available? Like this is, you definitely don't want this getting out.
None of this should be out. And this is it's insane that this is, even happening.
And why do you think it's okay to just put it in a cardboard box and take it with you?
Again, it's entitlement. It's, someone who thinks the rules don't apply to them, someone who thinks, the way that he does. And again, as we mentioned earlier, like this type of warning was brought forth even when he was candidate Trump.
Right.
There was, because even at the time, the security, like we said, the security community was wary of even giving him briefings as candidate Trump for fear of something like this, a sharing of this type of information. So it's not like it's new. Like people already had this idea of him.
Well, they had the idea of it, but that's very different from it actually happening, right?
Yeah, but come on.
All right, so counts 1 through 31 were willful retention of national defense information. Like we said, each count corresponds to a separate document. Then you have count 32, conspiracy to obstruct justice, which is the conspiracy between the two co-defendants, right, Trump and his body man, that they conspired and agreed with each other to engage in misleading conduct to withhold a record, document, or other object from an official proceeding.
Right.
So you've got that. Then you can go down to count 33, withholding a document or record.
Right. And as we mentioned also, again, as we mentioned earlier, one of the big differences here also is that when Pence and when Biden were found to have some of these documents, they did not withhold, they turned them over.
Right. And so that's an important distinction here. So the first 31 counts were unlawfully retaining it, right? So they're going after him for holding on to it when he shouldn't have held on to it. Count 33 is something a little bit different. Count 33 is the two defendants hiding these documents from the attorney so that the attorney could not find them when he was searching the boxes.
Right.
So they withheld
because the attorneys also were mandated to make a statement on their, not just on their client's behalf, but on their own behalf, saying that we diligently and thoroughly searched the defendant's
home. That was that certification, right? That attorney 3 had to produce, right. So you get to count 34, corruptly concealing a document or record. And that's hiding and concealing boxes that contain documents with classification markings from the attorney so the attorney would not find them.
Right.
Then you've got count 35, concealing a document in a federal investigation. And some of these facts you'll see repeat themselves, right? They're just different offenses, but they're all related now to the same behavior.
Right. And I think 36 is one where it's we're seeing that
scheme to conceal is 36.
Right. It was very, very purposeful. It can't say, oh, I just didn't know they were there, or some other excuse. Like, no, this was very purposeful. There was very, very much intent here. It's pretty obvious. I know they have to prove it in court,
right.
but
we've got like these tapes that we acted out and these text messages and this behavior and all this other stuff.
Right. It definitely doesn't help his defense against this.
Count 37, false statements and representations, right? And it specifically talks about that certification that we just mentioned by the attorney. A diligence was conducted of the boxes. The search conducted after receipt of the subpoena did not locate, or it says the search was conducted after the receipt of the subpoena in order to locate any and all documents, and any and all responsive documents accompany this certification. So the certification is swearing to the fact that all of the confidential documents were turned over, which we know was not true.
Right.
Then you get to count 38. Did we say that already? False. This is another charge of that. Let's see.
Now, this is false statements and representations.
Count 37 was also false statements. Okay, so count 37 relates to that certification that we just mentioned. Then we get to count 38, also false statements and representation. Oh, that was...
One was against Trump, one's against Nada.
This is the co-defendant because he was questioned during the investigation. Are you aware of any boxes being brought to his home, his suite? And he answered no. Then the question continues. All right. So to the best of your knowledge, you're saying those boxes you brought onto the truck, first time you ever laid eyes on them was just the day of when Trump employee 2 needed you to, correct, to take them. Okay. And then, it goes on here and the co-defendant ends up saying, I wish I could tell you. I don't know. I honestly just don't know.
Right.
He knew what was going on with these boxes, but he was playing dumb basically and saying he didn't know where they were.
Right.
He never saw them. He didn't know what was going on. So that's why they're going after him. And I wonder if they've got him on here because they're hoping he'll flip and try to cut a deal with them to testify against Trump.
They should.
Well, I mean, I would assume that that's obviously the hope. But at the same time, because they don't really give a shit about this dude. Let's be real.
Right.
Yeah. This is so then he's in there though, because don't forget they're charging Trump with the conspiracy as well, right? And so conspiracy suggests more than one person involved. Yeah. Okay, so now you get the penalty sheet. People will find that interesting, right? This is the end of the indictment here. As we wrap this up, you've got the maximum fines here per count. So for counts 1 through 31, which is the willful retention of those documents, maximum term of imprisonment 10 years
each.
Yeah.
Maximum supervised release 3 years, maximum fine $250,000. Then you got count number 32, which is that conspiracy. Maximum term is 20 years on a conspiracy. Withholding a document, maximum term 20 years. Corruptly concealing a document, 20 years. Concealing a document in federal investigation, 20 years. Scheme to conceal, 5 years. False statements, 5 years. And then you've got the same charges for the other defendant here.
See, right. The major difference is conspiracy is a thing that happens all the time in terms of prosecutions. But the Espionage Act is not taken out that often. You know what I mean? So there's very limited precedent for the actual conviction and sentencing of Espionage Act cases. And they don't, they tend not to turn out particularly well for people.
Does it say that they're seeking consecutive sentences in here anywhere? I'm not seeing it.
They're not. Just the legal overview that I got is that specifically within this.
It can, right? It can have consecutive sentences.
No, yeah. Within this one, this is the time that people tend to get consecutive sentences for leaking information that puts members of the public or, of the military service or whoever and stuff in danger. So,
with that said, realistically, what would we expect out of this? What do you think?
Honestly?
Yeah.
I kind of expect, that a man in his mid 80s is probably going to try to draw this out as long as he can and eat a bunch of cheeseburgers, and then he'll suffer a heart attack right as he's about to face a prison cell. I think that nobody's going to get any sort of like, and the thing is this, even if he went in, like, even like, honestly, Jay, as much as you're saying and stuff, I don't think you're going to feel any sort of like sucker from the fact that the man is in prison and stuff. Like, I don't think that the schadenfreude is not going to fulfill you. You know what I mean? So
speak for yourself.
Yeah, man. Look, look, I'll speak for myself. I think that it would be nice to see the justice system putting, you know what I mean, punishing somebody who's done such outrageous criminality for so long. Having said that, if I actually see him in prison, will I feel better about the fucking disastrous timeline of his presidency and the fact that, like, we had a populace who was willing to elect him in the first place? Is that going to bring it all back? Is it going to make everything okay? Is it going to make it right? I don't think so.
No, it won't. However, it also can serve as a good deterrent for those who are following in Trump's footsteps, of which we see there are many. And it's basically a release at the end of one of those massages that you shouldn't be getting.
Body man.
So look, listen, it's we can't have this happen. We, as much as conservatives and people on the right are talking about this is a political witch hunt, this is, he's a president, he shouldn't be doing this, or this is something, or other people saying it's embarrassing for our country that he's being indicted because he's a former president. This should not be happening. A president should not be doing this, period. No one is above the law. No one should be able to get away with this type of stuff. And this type of, with documents like this, there has to be a clear line set. It shouldn't be ambiguous. It shouldn't be like, oh, well, he was a former president, so it's we'll give him a slap on the wrist or professional courtesy. No, this is very much above that. And like you mentioned, they don't bring out like the Espionage Act or like, some of the accounts that we read.
They've never charged a former president with a federal offense ever. In fact, Trump is now only
first off,
this is the second time a president has been indicted. That's what I'm saying. This is the second time a president has ever been indicted. Trump was the first, and now he's the second.
Right. And so we have to make sure that this message, this line is clearly drawn because of what we're dealing with here. I mean, like we just read through, like he was holding on to some nuclear capability documents. Like, we can't let this just sit out there or let it be ambiguous for the next person to come along that's a little bit more competent than him to
think about that, Jay. If you were at the pool at Mar-a-Lago and happened to wander into the club, you could have stumbled across some nuclear documents.
Right. That's wild. Then it's really wild. Wasn't there something recently? There was a guy in his a 20-year-old something that was in the, I don't know if he was in the military, I think. But
he was a National Guard and stuff. He released a bunch of stuff on his Discord server. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Right, and so like all those people were subject. All those people were subject to these secret documents, just like wandering into a random Discord server. Like it's like wandering into the pool area at your resort, and like now you've got, nuclear capabilities staring you in the face. Like, this is crazy.
You do cannonball, and you come up with some nuclear codes.
Trust this, man. That kid is probably going to do life, by the way.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it. I mean, we're talking about, traitorism. We're talking about potential espionage.
Yeah.
At some point, like this is the craziest stuff. This is not, slap on the wrist stuff.
Well, we've got to wrap up here. It's been a great discussion. We actually got through the indictment.
But listen, no. Before you wrap up, just the last point on this thing and stuff. If you look at the document, it also does state by the prosecutors how long they're going to try to wrap this case up in, and they say
I saw that.
60 days. Yep.
That's
21 to 60 days is a good timeline.
This case will take 21 days for the parties to try it, and they check off 21 to 60 days. That is the most ambitious check mark I've ever seen in my life.
Listen, I think in something like this, that part of a speedy trial should be It should be mandated because we're talking about something that is very, very damaging and dangerous.
That's supposed to be a right that the defendant has, right? But the defendant can say we need to take long. They can file motions. They can do things to delay. It's not like the public has a right that he's convicted in a speedy manner, although we would like that.
Yeah, I know, but it's just, you know,
no, but I mean,
there's a lot of variables here.
Yeah, there should be the issue of the national election.
True.
National election, the national security, and I mean, he's a billionaire. He's definitely a flight risk for him to be walking around law free and stuff, like with this potentially hanging over his head. Personally, I would be out. I would use those billions.
Right, so check this out. We got to wrap up, but we do have the bottom line. So, Andrey, we're going to give you the bottom line. You can wrap up. You can say whatever you want to say. Your parting thoughts on all this. Andrey Bystrov, what is the bottom line?
Fuck Trump.
Okay, succinct enough.
Okay, yeah, it's probably the shortest bottom.
I was very polite up until this point. No, look, man,
it's you just summarized 49 pages in 2 words.
Look, it's a national disgrace, guys. It's a national disgrace. This is shameful. This is absolutely shameful. Trump was right. He should be ashamed of himself.
Yeah, that should be the count on there, right? The defendant should be ashamed.
Absolutely. And his supporters should, at this point, looking at what's out there and what he's being charged as, what he's done. If there's not a moment for everyone to look at it and be like, you know what, hey, we all should kind of look at how bad this is. If this is not a time for that, like, when will there be?
There won't be.
There won't be.
I mean, it's national security here. We're talking about top secret documents here of what we just read out. Like, you don't excuse that away. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, but they'll say others have done it too, right?
And prosecute those too, man. Prosecute them.
Absolutely.
Prosecute them, bro.
Absolutely. What I do love about all this,
keeping nuclear documents in your bathroom, bro, prosecute you.
All of them. I don't care what party you are. Absolutely.
Yep. That's right.
Absolutely.
Keep in the bathroom. You get some random dude to drive around in his like fucking Ford Pinto and shit in the fucking trunk in like the Florida humidity, bro. Get the fuck out of here. That's disgusting, man. You should be ashamed of yourself.
Absolutely.
Jay, where can people find us?
They can find us on YouTube and Instagram at Nuance Show. Also, if you do podcasts, anywhere podcasts are, there's Nuance, Mike Scala, and Jay Carter. Go on there, subscribe, get the shows automatically pushed to your device. So, and you can find us in a bathroom at Mar-a-Lago.
Yes, I was going to say, make sure your body man is subscribed.
Yeah.
Thank you to Andrey. Thank you, Sheba. Thank you, Jay. Thank you to everyone for checking us out. As always, we've got work to do. We'll catch you next time.